Right, the new Trend router looks quite good. 60mm plunge. What we got inside?
So Trend has sent me this. It's been free of charge, so full disclosure on my part. I actually asked them if they would send me the router. I'd already been using the Sanders and the Mitresaw. If you follow me on Instagram, then you'd have seen that. But for this channel, let's have a look, see what's in the box. We'll see what it can do and see what you think.
So, there's the box. That is it, open, brand new. So there looks to be dust extraction section for the plunge base and the trim base. Spanner, pressed steel, about 1/8 of an inch thick. Looks to be the same as the one you get with the T4, double-ended. That's fine. The guide bush is one we'd expect. That looks like it's a 16mm guide bush. What have we got on there? So I'm seeing 15mm on that ruler, so it's probably 15 or 16mm. No problem there. And the fence. So again, the fence is very much like the Trend T4, if you are familiar with that. It's not as substantial as, say, you'd find on T5 or the T10 and 11, but that will do the job. These are screwed in, not just pushed in, which is good, which means you can take these screws out and we can make a timber batten across there if we wanted even better. So yeah, I probably won't use that myself. I've got other products to do that job. I mean, this would be redundant, but it's very rare to find a router these days which doesn't come with a side fence there. Now this is interesting. This is a centering cone, and that's a bit stiff in there. That's good to see. I've seen a lot of routers where these centering cones, and we'll come on to its use in a little while, but these centering cones tend to be very loose and very floppy on this arbor. That's going to be 1/4 inch and 8mm for our collets. In the main area, this set comes with 2 4Ah batteries. Having used the 4Ah batteries on both the 5-inch random orbit sander and also the detail sander, this does give reasonably good life. On a router, there's no reason to believe it won't be the same. So that one's come with 3 bars, that one's come with 4. First thing I'm going to do is put these on charge, because I won't be using these later. Historically, Trend's instruction books are actually very good, I think. Somewhere printed on them will have a version number. So if there's an issue with this, it's been missed by Trend, and you let them know, and say to other people, they will put amendments out and also update the instructions. So in 5 years' time, this will come with probably instruction book, 1.3, 2.1, whatever, because they will constantly update these. If you lose them, go to their website. They're usually listed on the website. Look at that. This is already an addendum to this. So this will go out in later instruction books as 1.1 or something like that, I should imagine. Pop that in there. Warranty card, which you can fill out, send back free of charge in the UK. This is a 3-year warranty. So all the cordless power tools now are coming with a 3-year warranty as opposed to the standard 2-year, which is good. Obviously backing their products. That's a good long lead. It's probably 2 meters. Yeah, I'm about 2 meters tall, and that's still, you can see that's still flopping around. That's my arms stretched as far as they can apart. So that's a good 2 meter lead on there. Can you see the light on there? I'll charge this up fully straight away. So the fan's starting up. These have got little air cooling bits on them as well, so the batteries are cooling as they're charging, which means they're not going to overheat. Great idea. Flashing red light means it's charging. Happy days, we'll wait for that to go green. We've also obviously got the router itself. Comes in the plunge base. A lot of people have said to me, it looks very much like the Makita. I can assure you, when you get the two side by side, they look different in subtle ways. One thing I like about this is the rack and pinion mechanism that it has for the trim base. Very, very similar base to the Trend T5, if you know that. All these configurations are going to be compatible with the Trend kit. So if you've already got Trend rigs, they will be compatible in terms of distance between the slots for the fence, guide bush mounting, all that kind of good stuff. The turret looks identical to the T5, it's very smooth and it locks with a positive detent, you can hear that. That's good. There is a plunge stop which has got markings on it. This is quite good, this ring, it's got a very accurate, very fine line. Normally they're very crude, that's the word I'm looking for. Normally these markings for these kind of rails, very crude, that's a good improvement on there. And it's also got a micro adjust as well, which is really good. So you can micro adjust the fine height, adjust the plunge base. Very smooth action. Let's take you out completely. You can hear the spring in there. Looks like it's got some half decent bushings on there. But it's a smooth plunge action. That's what's important. I like that. Put it in the trim base, which also comes with it. And let me show you this. So this has actually got one here. Now, off the top of my head, I can say straight away, the Makita dials like that, you turn that and this rises. This is much more convenient because it's not in the way. It's not in the way. This one you can actually turn it and hold it in position and lock it. That's really good, and it's secure as well. And if it's not secure enough, you can do this nylock nut on the back there just to squash it in a little bit tighter. That's really rather good. And this base takes the guide bush as well. Comes with a very familiar guide fence, the same as with the Makita. That actually looks the same design as the Makita. It's got a plastic kind of in keeping with the. They've taken a little bit more effort. I know on the Japanese brands, these are the Katsu certainly. That's just a wing nut. There's no plastic grip on the end of that at all. So that's a little bit better quality in terms of that. And then you've got a side fence that fits in. There we go. And that's a fairly positive fitting on that. It's better than the Katsu, as one would expect. It's a pretty good fit on there. So the way we get that further in is we can swap this nut into that hole and allow it to travel further in to bring that across. And then the two batteries. So you get a lot for your money. Two batteries and the charger, the router with the trim base, the plunge base, a fence for the trim base, fence for the plunge base, the guide bush, collet nut spanner, extractor and ports to be mounted on the various cans. All the instruction books that you're going to need, 1/4 inch collet in there, and that means that there's going to be an 8mm collet installed in the router. There is a lock as well, so we can lock that positively through this hole here. That lines up with that pin to give a positive locking point to tighten up our collet nut. It's also got, it's another good thing, because if this fails in the future for whatever reason, and I have trashed them myself on routers over the years, the little spanner fits on the spindle and actually tighten this up. If that breaks in the future, you can still use it. It's kind of future-proofing that. I quite like that.
Right, well, that's what's inside the box. Just gone over just what you get and what it's for and what not to throw out because you don't understand it. I still haven't worked out what the Allen key's for, but it will be for something. If you know, then definitely comment because I might not get time to find out. All the information about it is on the packaging in the instructions, as always. Very quickly, it's a brushless motor. It's quieter than a standard router, which is probably attractive for a lot of people. Certainly if you're working in somebody's home, that's definitely going to be an appeal. The way you turn it on is 2-button. You have to unlock it. The lights on the base will come on, and then simple to use, really light, well packaged. If I've got to pick fault with it, I'm not a big fan of these old blow molded cases, and the reason for that is if I'm using the base with the dust extractor on, I want to be able to put it back in the box without having to take this off the fiddle. I just want to chuck it in the box so it's there for next time. With blow moulded cases, they're always the same. You have to dismantle it down and put them in there, each individual pieces. The advantage of that, of course, is you're basically never going to lose anything, so it is a double-edged sword. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is put the router base into the plunger base, because then I can stand it up on the housing. Now I've already loosened these off, but the next thing I'm going to do is loosen off these 4 panhead screws that are in these counterbores, and make sure they're loose and that this sub base can move around. Next job, I'm going to take my guide bush that I'm going to be using, in this case the one that came with the router, but it could be any of the Trend sizes actually, because they're all compatible with the Trend base. So I'm going to fix this in with the countersunk screws, and that's going to ensure that the guide bush fits exactly where it is meant to. There's no play. I can't basically put it in the wrong place. It can only go there because the tapering action of the countersunk screws will fix it exactly where it needs to be. Now I'm going to plunge this base down a little bit, not all the way, just enough to lock it in place. Now remember this is the centering cone and mandrel. Now I've got the, I think, 8mm collet installed into the router, so I'm going to use the 8mm end and put that into my collet. And just do it up, just lightly, finger tight, using the locking button, and just thumb pressure. I'm not going to do it with a spanner, I just need it to pinch in, it's just not going to move around. And you see how, you can probably see in the camera how it's not quite centered and it can go anywhere. That is deliberate. So the next job, I'm going to put my cone on there, and just like the screws gathering and fixing the guide bush to the plate, this is going to move it, and you'll see if I can do that again slowly. Hopefully you'll be able to see it move as it slides down. See it move over to the side? And wherever it is, the cone will push it concentric. Now it can still rotate, but it can only rotate within the realms of those screws. It can't move laterally, X and Y, it can only rotate about this axis. So with that, a little bit of light pressure, I'm going to do one up, just cinch it up, and then I'm going to diagonally go across that, cinch it up, because they're the furthest two apart. That will now stop it from rotating, so that I can cinch these ones up, and then I can just 1/8 of a turn, just so they bite. I'm not trying to torque these up to 5 white knuckles, just enough to hold that in place without it moving. So I can take that off there, undo the collet, remove the spindle. Now the beauty of this is, if I now want to work with a different guide bush, as long as the router motor stays within the housing, everything will line up, and these screws will force my guide bush, if I change it out for a different size, will put it in the right place. Now let's say I've done that and I want to use the trim base for the next stage for it. If I take this out to put in here, not only have I got to reset this one, but on the next job, when I want to use this base again, I've got to reset that. So every time you swap a base over and add a guide bush, you need to go through this. So don't be throwing these little cones out, because they're really useful, really important. If you want to know how to use guide bushes more, then definitely watch that guide bush related video. I'll see if I can link to that. Incidentally, if you've got the DeWalt router that uses this format, in the States it's the 611, in the UK it's, I think it's the 26.5 200 or something like that.
But basically it's the DeWalt router, either mains or cordless. It comes with a plunge base and the trim base as well. Uses exactly the same system. Last thing I want to see on these is the dust extraction. A lot of people say they look a bit flimsy. I don't think they're any flimsier than any other router I've ever had over the last 20 years. It's not the sort of thing that you bash around, but I'm more interested in this cone. If I just grab the adapter that comes with Trend's sanders, yeah, that fits in there nicely. Also, will fit the Festool Clean Tech end, which is really useful because that means it will also fit the Find Dust X, and also it will fit the Trend T18, 2, 3, 4 and 5. There's a little wibble wobble on there, but it's not, that's no looser than any other router I've ever had. The fact that it comes up vertically actually is a lot better than a lot of them that come in at an angle, like the old T5.
So something that always comes up with cordless tools is battery life, particularly with routers for some reason. I haven't been using these tools for a very long time, maybe a couple of months. I've been using them on site for work and also in the workshop, as you can see here. Here I'm cutting 3/4 inch wide by about 9mm deep housing joints and also 9x9 rebates. That single battery managed to go about 20 linear meters, so I don't think it's going to be a massive problem. For me, the portability far outweighs that.